Hey, this is Professor Finney again, and yeah, I really have appreciated the chance to hear all of your introduction videos. There might be one or two more coming at this point, but so far, thanks to everybody who has contributed that. It's been really cool to kind of hear all the different contexts of people and places that we're coming from. It seems like we've got kind of a cluster of folks. We got some Californians, we got some people in Colorado, we got a few of us up here in the Northwest. Unfortunately, it looks like there's only one person in the class who's still rooting for an NFL team that at this point is still in the playoffs. Just saying. But aside from that, I do think it's great that we have all the different perspectives. It's interesting that there's a few of you guys from the Covenant Church. That's actually my denomination. Really like being part of the Covenant. Also have really appreciated the Vineyard and the Presbyterians, and a few of you, not sure your context yet either, but that's awesome to have so many different voices and perspectives. And I really like the fact that we have a number of people who are in full-time ministry, as well as folks who are not doing any kind of ministry right now that's formal, as well as folks who are kind of bivocational or in between things. That's all great, and I hope each of you brings all of those things to the class. So ask questions from where you are about what your experience is, and probe into each other's questions about what their experiences are too. That's really exciting and really great. So I also wanted to say that this is my first time teaching entirely online. So there's a few things I'm adjusting to too. I think probably this first week I could have been a lot more responsive, especially to some of the comments about the questionnaire that wasn't working. So I want to let you know that I'm going to be improving my feedback also. And if there's something particularly urgent, you'll have a better chance of getting a hold of me if you send me an email. I tend to be on that even more than Moodle, but I'll be trying to get to the Moodle more than I have been this week as well. So those are a few things. What else? I also wanted to say that that I really appreciate the fact that there's a number of you who've expressed interest in being more, just sort of deepening your theological roots about what preaching is and what it is that we're doing. And so I just wanted to comment a little bit more on that. I know that in my introductory video I sort of laid out probably my thumbnail sketch of homiletical theology from Luke chapter 4, but to just add to that, I'm teaching another class at another university right now that's a class on how to both teach and preach the Bible. And so in that class we discuss the distinction between teaching and preaching. And if you're really into that stuff, you can go read, there's a pretty good book on the issue by a guy named C.H. Dodd called I think it's called Teaching and Preaching in the Earliest Church, but C.H. Dodd, D-O-D-D. And basically what he says is there's a distinction in the New Testament between teaching and preaching that largely goes along the lines of which Greek word is used to translate the term in the New Testament. So preaching, I think the word is proskuneo, is distinguished from teaching, or didaskalos. Now Jesus did both of those things, and in the New Testament it's modeled that followers of Jesus did both of those things as well. But the difference is that typically didaskalos, the teaching piece, is more about sort of the moral and ethical and educational components of what does it mean to follow Jesus. To teach is to instruct in the practicalities of how to live things out and what they mean. Preaching, or proskuneo, is more about this sort of a worldview, making a statement about the nature of reality. It's a claim about the way things work. It's an argument in favor of, or it's an assertion of the presence of the kingdom of God. That Jesus really is the center of the universe, and that as we learn to see him in the center of the universe, it changes everything. Really, it's a declaration of the gospel. That the gospel is the best description of reality that humans have. So to be preaching, whether or not it's in the context of Sunday morning, although certainly it can, does, and most often probably should happen on Sunday morning. Preaching can also happen in a lot of other contexts, whether you're in a formal ministry context like a chapel or a church service, or not. Even in some of the other ministries that you all described, maybe even a public speaking situation could count as preaching if you go into it with the stated goal of, I'm trying to proclaim the lordship of Jesus, not in a necessarily confrontational way, but in a way that establishes that God is the center of the universe, and that through that lens, here's how everything else works. Here's what it looks like. So hopefully that sheds a little light on kind of how I think about what it is that we're doing when we preach. We're not just talking from the Bible, because you can talk from the Bible and not be preaching. And we're not just doing something on Sundays, because preaching can happen in a lot of contexts, and what happens on Sundays wouldn't always qualify as preaching. But to boil it down, preaching is proclaiming the kingdom of God. Just like John the Baptist did, just like Jesus did. The kingdom of God is at hand. So that's preaching. So I'll sign off here from snowy, wintry Spokane, and hope the rest of you have a great week. Do send me an email if you have more specific questions or things that you need to dialogue with me about. It's great that several of you signed up to do the Skype online chat this week, so I'll be looking forward to meeting you all in person. And yeah, have a great week.